through as soon as we will share that with members who will be impacted. Also, public safety has been a topic of discussion this week and will probably be for the next week or so. We have one member testifying this afternoon on the impacts of retail theft. Unfortunately, I tried getting a handful of other members in, and looks like we're having more technical difficulties. Okay, well, we're recording, so those that are on, thank you for joining. Those that aren't, hopefully they can catch the recording when we're done. So again, public safety, I tried getting a handful of members in to testify on public safety, and there are so many businesses and people that want to weigh in that they've started turning people away. That being said, I do want to make sure that I hear from you and also provide you the opportunity to get your comments in written form into committees, and I'm happy to facilitate that as well. So let's see. The Homeless Bill of Rights is back up in House General, so we're keeping an eye on that. So far, I think we're safe. Previous versions of that bill would have disallowed retailers from asking anyone that may have come in and set up shop, or decided to take a nap, or just spent a little too much time in the store and caused some discomfort for customers. You would not have been able to ask them to leave. That provision has been removed. We do not see that provision right now, so that's good news. But we will continue to monitor those discussions and weigh in as needed. Finally, let's see, we are well past 700 bills that have been introduced in the House. That's just the House side, that's not including the Senate. We are monitoring a significant number of those. And we will include a link to the list of those bills that we are monitoring in Friday's update. I believe it is also on our website. So if you do have questions on where that link is, don't hesitate to reach out. Karen or Alyssa, maybe one of you two can drop that link in the chat also. So two issues I would like to touch on today are retail crime. There are two bills being discussed this week in House Judiciary. And then the House Human Services Committee will begin testimony on the flavored tobacco ban starting on Thursday. So we will be testifying on that bill, but it would be great to hear from as many members as possible. That was a lot. I'll pause there for any questions. Otherwise, we can jump into the retail theft discussion. Okay, so retail theft. There are two bills, H 534, an act relating to retail theft, and H 579, which is an act relating to organized retail theft, aggravated retail theft, and retail theft with the intent to sell. So these two bills have been introduced and they are being discussed this week. Again, we have one member that was able to get in on the testimony list. So I'll be in the committee or monitoring the discussion as they're testifying. So H 534 creates a definition in the sense that when someone is collaborating with others to commit retail theft, they could face penalties based on the aggregate value of the stolen merchandise. And that the bill aggregates multiple retail theft offenses in different locations within a 14-day period. So if that aggregated amount is above $900, if the value is between $900 and $10,000, the punishment could be fined up to $1,000 or imprisonment for 5 years. If it exceeds $10,000, then it's a $1,000 fine, but imprisonment could be up to 10 years. I've been monitoring the discussion in the committee. yesterday and this morning. And it sounds like the committee is close to watering the bill down. If anything, H 534 will move, but it will be watered down. It's a fairly liberal committee. They don't seem to have the stomach to pass something that may have some teeth for real change within the retail scene. That being said, we are pushing for anything to pass in order for us to get it through and put some more teeth on it in the Senate. Let me do a quick overview of H 579 and then we can open it up for feedback. Excuse me. H 579 creates 3 new definitions in statute surrounding retail theft. Organized retail theft there's a definition of a person acting in concert with one or more persons or on one or more occasions within a period of 180 days. So this would essentially get to the majority of the crime that we see in big box stores in Chittenden County. I'm sure that it would also get at those repeat offenders in our convenience stores or our smaller stores around the state. We had asked for the definition of organized retail crime a couple of years ago, and unfortunately, the Senate committee didn't have the stomach for it. Second definition is aggravated retail theft, when a person leaves with merchandise through a designated emergency exit or possesses an item or device that will avert security. So if you have a tag remover or a lined bag or something that will essentially avert any type of security, then you could face aggravated retail theft. And then there's a definition, retail theft with the intent to sell, which is stealing merchandise and then planning to sell it to another person. I think some of those definitions can be lumped together, but it's nice to at least have the discussion on the table. Finally, in H 579, there are 2 levels of penalty for each of those definitions. So if a stolen product amounts to $900 or less, the offender could receive up to 3 years of imprisonment or a $1,000 fine. If it exceeds $900, then it's 15 years imprisonment and a $2,500 fine. Last thing I'll say about H 579 is it is probably not going to move. Just the nature of the legislature. It was introduced by a Republican, and Republican bills these days don't move. That being said, we could get provisions of H 579 into H 534, but that would take some effort on our behalf to get those provisions into the bill that does move. Okay, I'll stop there. That was a lot of talking, and I would love any feedback from retailers on either one of those things. Yes. Any questions about the bills? Is there any feedback? Trisha, I know that you've got someone testifying this afternoon, but yeah, any feedback would be great.
I haven't touched. I did reach out just to make sure she was all set. I know she was going up to our shops in Vermont yesterday to try to get as much information, and we gave her some historical information we had done 2 years ago with our shops. We did a survey and got a lot of information from them. So I think she'll just discuss the experiences. Like you said, I suppose it's good just, I mean, you don't seem very optimistic with, where this might go, but at least it's a platform and it starts the discussion. Do you think the first one, the 534, even though watered down, would still have some elements of that increased penalties or increased time served? I'm sure muted.
Sorry. We're clearly having technical difficulties today. So you're asking if it will be, even if it is watered down, will it have elements of the penalties? I think the plan would be to have some element of those increased penalties. I think our hope ideally would be to aggregate them just in general, even if it's even if it is a reduced penalty. Let's see. Well, we would push to keep it at least at $1,000. But if we're being realistic, just listening to the conversations, I don't think that we would be seeing language that would impose imprisonment for up to 5 years or 10 years. I could see maybe 1 year or 18 months, but I don't anticipate that we will have a long imprisonment sentence. Just looking at the makeup of the committee, and those legislators sitting on the committee don't necessarily believe that we should be imposing imprisonment. But the business community has been pushing for it, just to make a point. So we'll continue to advocate for that. Any other questions? Any other feedback? I know that there are a couple other retailers that may have just joined. Let's see, let me see if I can send the links over to Alyssa and Karen, and they can post them in the chat. It didn't work. No other initial thoughts from any retailers? No. Okay. Maybe paste this one. All right, I just dropped them in our chat. Alyssa and Karen, if you guys wouldn't mind. Oh, of course, it's not working. Great, thank you. All right. Well, if you do have thoughts on either of those bills, we can always come back. I do want to take some time also to talk about the flavored tobacco ban. That bill, S18, will be up in House Human Services starting on Thursday. We have industry members that will be testifying starting Thursday. They will probably go through next week, taking testimony from advocates. And then we have been told again that the bill will pass in some form. We are anticipating that there will probably be some type of proposal to ban flavored vape product. That is, again, that's the rumor that we're hearing. We don't have confirmation on that yet, but we anticipate that that's what we will be seeing at some point in the form of proposal, probably next week. I have received numbers from several retailers as well as a couple of distributors. The distributors will also be testifying on the financial impact of that flavor ban. Again, we are looking at on the retail end, we're looking at about a $20 million financial loss to the state, fiscal loss to the state. And so we're doing what we can to talk to committee members here in the building about the financial impact. Of course, you know, we do get the pushback about the health impact, and we certainly can understand that, but our discussions mostly surround fiscal impact. I would love to hear from others who might have any questions or have some data that hasn't been shared with me. Any information, any feedback on S18 and the flavor ban, please feel free to unmute. Would love to hear from you.
Hey, Aaron, it's Kyle with Reynolds. Everything you're saying sounds accurate from our perspective. We are working right now to support on getting additional testifiers, both from retail and wholesale. Same as what you're hearing is hearing next week. This week, more of the traditional lobbying powers like yourself, and then next week for the retail and wholesale community. So just continuing to work down the list. I know there are some confirmation. Well, I'm sorry, there are not confirmations from committee, but there are confirmations from retailers who have said they are willing to testify. So I think we're working with with Matt and team on just, later this week getting those folks over to the committee to get signed up. And same as you hearing human services for the next few weeks, obviously TBD on exactly when it leaves, and then moving to finance and kind of doing the whole show over again in finance. So I think we're aligned on everything.
Any other feedback? Thank you, Kyle. My understanding is that the manufacturers have been working with retailers also in distributing. At least one of the manufacturers, I don't want to put them on the spot, is working with retailers to distribute communications to customers as well about the impact. So it sounds like there are additional grassroots efforts happening around the state, but any financial impact, any data that you can share with me if your company has not sent any data to me, that will only help us in our testimony. I've received data from, I want to say, a majority of the chain convenience stores. I've received communications from some independent convenience stores or smaller retailers. But if your company has not shared data with me, any data will help in my testimony on Thursday morning. Okay. Quiet day. Those were the two issues that are front and center here in the State House this week. That being said, we will keep an eye out for future issues and do our best to communicate to this group on what's coming up. Hopefully we can communicate to you in advance, and then we can have more robust discussions on these calls. I'm happy to give updates, but any information after would be great, just again to help me in my testimony. And again, thank you, Tricia, for volunteering to testify on behalf of stewards for retail theft. If you are interested in testifying on retail theft or S18, the flavor ban, or any other issue, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Karen or Alyssa, and we can certainly help set you up for testimony when the timing is right. Okay, hopefully we can get the technical difficulties worked out for the next call. The next call will be 2 weeks from today, which is January 23rd. We'll send out a reminder again with the registration link. I know that some of you are using the December 12th registration link, but if you have any other questions or concerns about these two issues or others, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay,
Yes, yeah, I got it.
all right. Hearing